Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you with a field review of the Tops Tahoma Field Knife and the Becker BK9. Now these two knives are quite different. When you look at the Tahoma Field Knife, you'll realize it comes with a bunch of bells and whistles. Sharpened swedge, nice choil, a bow drill divot, interesting handle. The Becker BK9, not so much. Pretty straightforward, nice little thumb ramp, ample handle, but not too much in the way of extras. The Tahoma Field Knife has a sharpened swedge, when the BK9 does not. Both of them have I guess you'd almost call them like a saber grind. Both of them have a thumb ramp. Really the difference, for the most part, comes in the handles. The Tahoma Field Knife with a slightly more squared off handle and a big curve, while the BK9 has that very nice Becker handle. Both have a pommel. The Tahoma Field Knife is actually also a flat screwdriver, when the BK9 is basically just a pommel. Now when using these for camp chores, definitely both of these knives are very nice quality. In this particular case, splitting wood and batoning with the Becker BK9, you go down through the wood with ease. You can handle a nice sized log, as this is a 9-inch blade. Very comfortable, great splitting capability. Definitely a perfect camp knife. As you can see, there is some damage to my baton. Pretty typical for normal batoning, as you would expect to see from most typical camp knives. Now working with a Tahoma Field Knife, this works great. Excellent for splitting, great control, nice comfortable feel. Splits down through the wood with ease. Does a great job separating the two halves of the wood as you baton down and through. Just kind of blows the two pieces of the wood apart. Goes down nice and smooth from the top of the log down through to the bottom. Nice and controlled. It's even suitable for slightly larger logs. There's a good span on this blade, which allows you to tackle some slightly larger pieces of wood and really be able to process your wood down to prepare it for a fire. Now unfortunately, because of the sharpened swedge, you do end up with a lot of damage to the baton. So I would say probably more than twice the damage that you'd actually receive from most other camp knives. The other danger that I found is when striking the Tahoma Field Knife, there is danger that you could potentially catch your fingers. I found a couple times that I was feeling a little uneasy with that, but it's something that you just need to be careful with and pay close attention. Now for stabbing tasks and for splitting wood in a stabbing motion, the Tahoma Field Knife works very well. With that sharpened swedge, you can easily penetrate the wood, stab down through it, and split wood into smaller kindling without any problem. And with the Becker BK9, very similar. I actually found that I had a little bit more control and a little bit of a nicer stabbing action with this than the Tahoma Field Knife. The tip, even though it didn't have the sharpened swedge, is more than ample to penetrate the wood and just has a real nice feel, great purchase on the handle, and good deep stabbing penetration on this blade. Actually works very, very well for these stabbing tasks and for splitting wood down into smaller kindling. Here's another look at the stabbing penetration of both of these knives. Here you see the Tahoma Field Knife. Has pretty good penetration. It has that sharpened swedge, so it allows you to get some decent penetration. Now, I'm not going crazy slamming this into the log, but you can definitely see that you get some decent penetration. With the Becker BK9, even though it doesn't have the sharpened swedge, you actually do get even deeper penetration than on the Tahoma Field Knife. Now, I felt this knife was very comfortable for stabbing tasks, good confidence, no worries that my hand was going to slip, good ergonomic handle, and nice deep penetration down into the top of that log. For light chopping tasks, both knives work very, very well. Here you see the Tahoma Field Knife cutting through smaller pieces with ease, slightly larger, no problem. Decent weight to this knife and a good chopping handle. When you're in the chopping position on this knife, it's very comfortable. Now you see that I did struggle a little bit to get through a slightly larger piece. I feel like this knife didn't necessarily hit as hard as I wanted it to. I was having a hard time getting it to really bite deep into the wood, but eventually I made it through without too much difficulty. Very similar with the BK9. BK9 absolutely blasting through smaller kindling. Even mid-sized pieces, no problem. Nice weight, great handle, good control over the blade, and larger pieces, definitely able to go right down and through without too much difficulty. Even on these real large pieces, great deep bite, good control, bam. No problem. Now this is where these knives start to kind of separate themselves in my mind. So far they've both been very, very good. Now for slicing capability and carving capability, as long as you're choked up on the Tahoma Field Knife, you have no problem. But as soon as you start gripping the handle without the choil, it's very, very awkward. It has a very awkward feel. Odd geometry on the handle, puts my hand in a very awkward position and it's very uncomfortable. But then again, once I go up to the choil, definitely more comfortable and capable of doing some pretty good carving tasks, and it takes a nice slice of the wood. Now for finer, detailed tasks, this knife is very difficult. It's a very limited ability to put your thumb on the back of the spine because of that sharpened swedge and also the little notch And so I found it to be awkward and almost dangerous. I really didn't like it. I didn't enjoy the control. It felt very awkward to me and completely uncomfortable. And for that reason, I think that's a big disadvantage to this Tahoma field knife. For fine feather sticks or the ability to make small shavings, this knife performed very, very well. Again, choking up on that choil and using your thumb on the back of the spine, you're easily able to get some very nice fine curls, good detail, quality blade geometry. And again, just really able to get some very, very fine, nice detailed curls. Now the BK9 is much more comfortable for carving. This knife does not have a choil. I think if it did, it would be the best of everything. But definitely a nice slicing capability, very comfortable, great control. The blade actually feels lighter than it is in length, which is a bonus. Good and wieldy. The ability to really take some nice slices of wood. Good control. No problem at all. For finer detailed tasks, no problem with push cuts. You do not have the same problem with the BK9 that you have with the Tahoma field knife. Comfortable for push cuts. Good quality sharp blade. Nice detail. No problem at all. Now the BK9, in my opinion, struggled a little bit more with the finer details like the feather sticks, but it does do an ample job. I don't feel like I was able to get quite as nice a curls as I was on the Tahoma field knife, but this definitely did an adequate job and is able to process wood down nice and fine to get some good quality tinder or kindling to get your fire going. And again, just an example of these feather sticks, not quite as tight a curls, but definitely suitable. For your chopping and deep penetration on the chopping portion of these blades, the Tahoma field knife definitely bites super hard, super deep. The BK9, also very solid. Now I do find that I felt as though the Tahoma field knife had a little bit deeper penetration. It might be because of the handle geometry and that the way the handle has a little bit of a curl or a sweep to it. But at the same time, the BK9 does have a little bit more length, so they're both pretty comparable, and they're both great in the chopping department. And so there you have it, guys. Just a side-by-side comparison of the Tops Tahoma field knife and the Becker BK9. I hope you like what you saw. Hope you found it informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.